So welcome back to another Q&A. This is a little bit sooner than we anticipated, but we have some things that we're really excited to talk to y'all about. I'm here with, as always, Tim, our founder. So Tim, what are we talking about today?
Uh-oh. Hey, you know what? There we go. Made the other audio go away.
There we go.
So we have a couple things to talk about. Um, the next wave of planetary qualifiers and judging for that. So that's one thing we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the testing process overall and getting folks to level one and get that testing rolling as quickly as possible. We're going to talk about our continuing need to clone Jonah so that we can have a couple more of him. Jonah, you'd be a fine clone trooper, right?
I'd work for that, yeah. I have some
Absolutely.
philosophical beliefs in line with Mandalorian culture.
And then that's terrifying. And
The
then we're
good
going
parts
to,
of Mandalorian culture.
okay, uh, okay, fine. This is the way. And then the final thing we're going to talk about today. So we'll talk about promos and what's going to happen and how to get them into your hot little hands.
Yeah, excellent. So what should we start with?
Let's start out with the most important part. No, that's actually the need to clone Jonah. Now let's start out with the most important part, which is getting folks certified as level one. And I'll fiddle with my giant box of cards as we talk about this. So, I guess you want me to start? I'll start.
Yeah,
And then
you start. You start.
Okay. So we where we're at right now. So how the process is going to work is store owners that have stores that we actually know are stores. So let's call it verified store owners or store owners that we are 100% confident are store owners. And those store owners will have the ability to log into our system. They will then be able to select a judge or multiple judges, and hopefully multiple. And then they will be able to provide an endorsement of those judges, where they're saying two distinct things. One, this judge actually exists and is a real human being. And two, this judge has general skills that are high enough that they're willing to endorse them. Okay. So, number one, store owner logs in. Store owner on the selected list, I should say. It's a very partial list to start out with. Um, I can't go into the whole rigmarole about this, but let me give you folks the quick TLDR. Okay. I don't know if this is actually going to be that quick, but we will start with a subset of retailers, and there's somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 retailers around the globe. Okay, we will start with the 150 who are running planetary qualifiers in the beginning of the new year, right? Starting January. I keep saying 1, but I think it's actually January 4 is the first ones that happen, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
technically January 4.
So, though our highest priority is to get those folks able to certify the judges who are going to work at those planetary qualifiers. So, retailer logs in, sees their account, claims their account, then scrolls down. You, as a judge, have already made your account discoverable so that the store owner can find you. Sorry to beat a dead horse, but got to do that, right? And then the store owner finds you, does a quick 2-minute, I think Jonah's fabulous because he knows the rules and also glows in the dark or whatever it is, right? Then, and then the system will be ready for you to come in and take a test. Okay. The only test that will be available at launch is the level 1 test, because presumably you've taken the apprentice test already, although you don't need to. You can start right in at level 1. Okay. And then you take the test and then you'll be notified. Did I leave anything out there, Jonah? I think that was pretty thorough.
I think that's pretty much it. We do have a
Okay,
question about convention TOs,
hold on. Let
but
me let me go. Let me do some more then. Okay, so that's for the first batch of tournament of planetary qualifiers. We have that list in our of those TOs in our hot little hands right now. Okay. Next phase, we will then be given a list of all of the stores that ran pre-releases in the last pre-release. We we will then import all of that in, assuming that that import goes fine. We'll have all of that data in, and then those tournament organizers will be able to endorse folks. At some point in the distant future, I hope to get a list of all the stores, but this will get us these phase one of getting it live in 150 stores. Phase two is another couple thousand, right? And so between those two, we'll have 2,000, we'll have the 2,000 most active tournament organizers. Okay, so that's, and when does this, and in terms of timing, because now I'm trying to figure out a smooth transition to work into the the convention TO question. But let's take it the next step. Um, in terms of timing, the coding is almost done. It's going to take a little bit of time to test, presumably because our coder is a genius and understands the use case extremely well, that let's say all of that goes perfectly. Okay. Now we're into our transition problem because Jonah needs to enter all of the questions into the software system because, as we talked about during the last stream or broadcast or whatever you want to call this stream, we expect to have 100, maybe a little bit more questions. And so each person who's testing is going to get a semi-randomly generated list of questions. Okay. So we've got to get the questions into the system. And then people can begin taking tests. Jonah and I were just talking about how he really wants, maybe I should just let you talk for yourself, but whatever. Jonah really wants to be available to answer questions and deal with any bugs. And unfortunately, Jonah, why don't you tell everybody about your schedule?
well, okay. I just got back from an event last night. This week for Americans, you're well aware it's Thanksgiving. Then early next week, I'm gonna head down to Philadelphia for PAX Unplugged, and instead of coming home on Monday, I'm actually going to be flying with Tim straight to Minnesota to the FFG offices here so that we can have a sit down face to face conversation with the designers, developers, and the OP team. After that, I come home in time to do yet another event. So I'm busy until mid December almost, and I want to make sure that I am there when the test is happening so that when you're like, hey, this question is worded poorly or this question is flat out wrong, which I hope doesn't happen, but
But it will.
there will be some grammatical errors certainly, and there will definitely be a question where I select the incorrect answer as the correct answer. I want to be able to change that immediately so that it doesn't affect people. That's really important that we have that functionality and that assistance available.
So I don't have an exact date for you on when this system goes live. I can tell you, I think about this much time. So actually it's probably this much time. About a week from now, the endorsement portion of it goes live. Then we will see what we can do about cloning Jonah and fixing it so that either Jonah or a backup for Jonah is available to solve these kinds of issues. Worst case, what do you think worst case is for going live?
I think worst case we're looking at like
Mid-December.
December 16th or 17th.
So Let's say that's what we think worst case is. We will, of course, post more detailed information as it emerges. Okay. So let's just go right into the question from the chat that you were bringing up, which is, you want to read it or?
Yeah. So with regard to certification endorsement, if we're looking at retailers and stores, what about convention tournament organizers?
We do not have a plan today to allow tournament organizers to do certifications of judges. I, of course, have a huge amount of fondness for convention tournament organizers, being one. And I can see where we get there eventually. But I think how this process is likely, I don't have a list of convention tournament organizers right now. I also don't have a clear definition of what a convention tournament organizer is, right? Um, and and so I guess what I can see happening is, first we've got to import the 150 we have of some of the most active retailers. We'll get that. Then we'll get a major chunk of the retailers. Then I imagine we will get a list of all the retailers. I don't have a date on that. And then after that, we can get to special cases. Okay. But I believe it's going to be necessary if you want to be a certified judge anytime in the near future. I believe it's going to be necessary for you to develop a relationship with a retailer. You don't have to be close friends. All you have to do is get that retailer to be willing to spend 2 or 3 minutes endorsing you.
Yeah, it's actually going to be pretty much any store that has run a pre-release or anybody who's run a planetary qualifier. And that's a relatively expansive list.
Although those two lists have got to be the same, right? I can't imagine that there's anybody running planetary qualifiers who's not running pre-releases. I assume.
I presume so. But that covers the timeline for level 1. Let's see, there's another question that I thought you'd be able to answer. Yes. Do we know how the store accounts are being recognized? Is it being tied to the store's email that they use with Asmodee?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. It's tied with, so Asmodee has given us retailer name and their email address, and so we can verify by both of those things. There are a number of logistical things that are going to happen as retailers are activating their accounts, and that's part of our challenge. Is, we can already anticipate some snags, and so we're going to have to be available to do a bunch of customer service as those accounts are coming live. So, but yeah, I think we are basically prepared for that.
Another question I have is, will we have someone that's trusted to at least give a cursory glance at the questions for L1? And this is something that I'm going to handle. One, I have a very strong relationship with Ryan Sereno, the rules admiral at FFG, and so depending on his timing and availability, I'm going to ship the questions over to him. However, he does have a day job, and looking over 100+ questions and all of the answers and the explanations for all of them is no small task. The possibility of some folks taking the test as early testers, they won't get any special treatment. It'll be a version of, it will be the test, but it will be to test the technology and make sure that there's some questions that are, make sure question language and grammar is appropriate. No special treatment for those individuals. Nobody's going to get early access to the test. Everybody's going to take the same test. But I would like to have some degree of quality assurance going out there. Ryan is my go-to there, just because Ryan knows the rules better than pretty much anyone, given that he has written them. Another question we have is, will there be the ability for people who have passed the L1 test to submit test questions similar to how EC Council and CompTIA run their IT certifications?
I'm sorry, what organizations is that?
I believe those are both IT certifications, computer science.
Okay, so the answer to that is not at this time. I am really like, this one's probably fine. Okay, it's probably fine. But I have a general allergy I'm just allergic to judges working without getting paid. And it is, now, I don't know if submitting some questions is actually work or not. It probably actually doesn't qualify, but I'm not motivated to ask judges to do that kind of thing. If it turns out that you all strongly disagree with me and are really motivated to do this, then over the next few months or 6 months or 9 months, as Jonah and I are getting out and going to more places, you can absolutely talk to us, and I'm open to being persuaded. But today, I want to avoid anything that even vaguely seems like work without compensation.
Strongly agree on that. Not just because of any legal implications, but it, if you're doing something that is valuable to us, it's
Yeah.
someone says if you're good at something, never do it for free. Thanks for Spock Help for saying that.
You know what? Okay. I don't know. Actually, well, I strongly disagree, just to get a little philosophical about that. I volunteer a fair amount of time. But you know what I volunteer for? They're called charities. I volunteer at my church, and I give blood to the Red Cross, and I also do labor for a number of other charities. But what I believe it is literally never appropriate to volunteer for a for-profit institution. And so don't do it. And that includes my local store where I'm friends with them, and that includes any other for-profit business. So that's our stance on this kind of thing.
Yeah. So another question from Tennessee Feet Monk. It sounded like you plan to require L1 for the January and February of 2025 planetary qualifiers.
That is firmly in my plans. Now, I have not I have not talked thoroughly through with Fantasy Flight about this, so I may be wrong. Like, because ultimately, as smart as Jonah is and as handsome as I am, we don't get to make the rules, right? We get to influence the rules, but not make them. But my strong preference, if we have a process live that gives people a month and a half between when we go live and the first of the planetary qualifiers, then I would want you all to have that certification before. Or let me put this a slightly different way. Why wouldn't we require everyone to have a level 1 certification if it's open to the public? God forbid something goes horribly wrong, our software catches on fire, something awful happens, then I can see a reason. But if there's a month and a half and you want to judge on an event that feeds the Galactic Championship, you really should have a level 1.
Now, notably, the January planetary qualifiers are starting likely 2 or 3 weeks after L1 goes live, which means that it's not as feasible to require it. We are strongly encouraging it, and we're strongly encouraging that folks who are selected to judge take the L1 test before going to their events, particularly in early January.
And if you can't pass the L1 test, then thinking carefully about what role you want to have at that event is really important. So let's say we're going to get back to you on this as quickly as we can, but we expect the system to be up and running, and so again, I'm only talking it for me. I'm not saying this is a rule for the system, but I would like to get to a point where everybody's required to have certification as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah,
That's my answer.
I agree on that.
Okay.
Let's see. There was another question that I'm scrolling up to while I answer some other things in chat directly. Wolfstrider562 asks, will we be seeing anything for Twin Suns rules in the future, or will that be a casual format like Commander and Magic? And the priority here is getting folks prepared to run premier constructed tournaments. FFG's flagship line of competitive organized play is all going to be premier. However, that doesn't mean we're going to ignore Twin Suns entirely. It just means that we're going to focus on making sure that we have judges trained to staff planetary qualifiers, sector, regional qualifiers, and then galactic championships when those come around. And that's a lot of dedicated training towards one format. However, local play is probably going to have a lot of Twin Suns. It's a very cool format. And so we want to make sure that judges are prepared to answer the weird questions that come up specific to that format. Alrighty.
I can't wait till we get to the best part of the presentation.
Let me double check. I know that there were some questions in Discord before we got started. So, those are mostly questions regarding what you have in that box. Do we want to start talking about that box?
So, yes, but because again, I have no intention of actually being direct or succinct in my life. I want to start out with, I am sorry for everyone who's waiting for a t-shirt. I am sincerely sorry. Has our post gone live already, by the way?
Yes, the post is up.
So presumably they know this, but I am sincerely sorry about the delays. I promise they weren't my fault, but that really doesn't matter, does it? And so what I want to do is I'm sorry, is include in every shipment, and and for those of you who've seen your tracking go live, I'm through October. If you ordered before October 9th, I've got everything packed and ready to go, including a random one of these shiny, beautiful cards. Oh, wait, am I showing the backside?
You're just looking at them, Tim.
Which I cannot tell you how beautiful these cards came out, but I'll let you decide for yourself. So, Jonah, do I just flip it and show them?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if okay, where's my camera? Let's see. How do we do that? Maybe I should take it out of the hard case. So
I do have a slide prepared to show these off if we're getting a lot of reflections and you can't see it. That's a little bit too close.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to deal with the reflection. Okay, it's out of the sleeve. What you can probably tell already.
These promos are so cool.
These promos are so cool. They proudly feature a big stamp that says Judge. It's not literally a stamp; it's printing. And then you'll notice that it goes that it has a unique card frame, and those card frames look awesome.
And it's bursting out of the card frame. Like, it's not quite borderless, it's not quite hyperspace, but it is overlaying the card frame just a little bit. So I'm seeing some questions.
Staples. What's that?
I'm seeing some questions.
Go ahead, let's do the question.
Bit late, what have I missed?
What if you missed? What
have you missed in this stream? Has anything important mentioned?
Oh, God. We're going to have testing coming really soon, and make your account visible. And then I'm sorry I screwed up your t-shirt, and some of you will get an exclusive version, an exclusive card frame version of Wrecker, right?
Some of you.
Another
Not
question.
All of you. Will this be legal in Premier? Can you play this in a tournament?
Absolutely.
These cards are printed by FFG for Star Wars Unlimited.
Wait, I didn't get to photocopy them myself? Yes. Okay, should I show another card?
Absolutely. We got our friend
Can you-
Tech. Now,
I think of all the cards, the card frame on Tech might be my favorite. It's probably my favorite.
so
we just
one
get
of the
questions?
things that I love about these card frames is that love and hate, is that the color of the frame doesn't necessarily match the color of the card. Like, Tech isn't in the heroic white frame. He's got one that matches his art a little bit better.
Which is kind of a goldish bronze.
Yeah.
And I really like it. But it's for those of you who are easily confused, this might not be the card for you. But if you're easily confused, you probably don't want to become a judge. But I think, you know what, I got to take it out of this penny sleeve. I just don't want to mess them up. But I think it's pretty darn beautiful.
So, for folks, other than folks who have ordered sleeves during that window, not that first wave.
Shirts.
Yeah. So some folks ordered shirts during the first wave planetary qualifiers, got them quickly.
Yep. And those guys they're fine.
They got their shirts,
I don't feel
no
any
promo.
If I had to pack shirts for you and I got them out on time-ish, no promo. But if you've been waiting a month and a half, and frankly, most of you have been, not all, but most of you have been very polite and understanding, and I feel like a complete jerk about this, so we're giving you something extra. But there will be other ways to get them as well.
What are those other ways, Tim?
I think I want to show
a third card.
So K2SO is, I think the frame looks great. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not my favorite art, but I really think, but it's a great card, and the frame makes it look so much better.
Yeah.
I honestly, Jonah, and this isn't me overselling, it's just true. I prefer all of these cards to the hyperspace version. I love this frame so much.
Yes, it's incredible. So a question that we've got in a couple different ways is, if they're coming with shirts, when will shirts be available to order again, and can we get shirts shipped to Europe?
So here's bad news. It is only for shirts. It's only in we're. I think it's safe to say we're in the middle of licensing hell, and this is hell, Hades, hell.
The world between worlds.
Sure. Thank you. I'm still in denial about all of that as part of Star Wars, but this is intended to be an apology for people who have ordered in this batch, and I don't know when we will get more shirts available beyond this. How it's actually working is I've got a crud ton of them that I am putting in boxes and labels and sending out right now. We're gonna need. I've got a few more on the way. I've got like 30 more shirts on the way because they weren't printed in time. And from that point, shirts are on hold until all the licensing issues are actually correctly resolved. So, what about the people in Europe in particular, and the people who didn't order in this wave of shirts?
I didn't order shirts, and I want these.
Yeah, well, can I push them through the...
I wish.
So, yeah, teleportation would be great, but I think that's a different movie. Maybe that's Star Trek. Okay, so what we're going to do, I've been soliciting people in the community who make cool things, okay? One of the members of the Star Wars community makes these really cool shield tokens that I was playing with and showing off during so there's shield on one side and +1/+1 on the other, so experience tokens. And I will have a small number of those because he's not a pro, he's a talented amateur, and we will have those go on sale, and and those will be available for sale in the United States and Europe. Um, I'm sorry, the United States, Europe, and Canada. Okay, so so those will go on sale, and and those will include some number of promos. I haven't figured it out yet. Okay, and then and that's more of, frankly, for me, it's got to be small quantity. It's got to be 100. Okay, um, of those tokens will be made. And I'm hoping that I can receive those either at the end of December or early January. Also, right now, GameGenic, as many of you probably know, is Asmodee's division that creates, well, collecting things like this box right here. I have several pallets, four pallets of stuff coming on a boat right now that's going to either arrive mid to late December, and we will have we will we will sell merchandise kits that have some of the things judges want, deck boxes, stuff like that, and include in it three of these promo cards. Okay, we will have merchandise packs available for sale fairly routinely over the next year, to so that if you want to purchase merchandise and get promos that way, you can. We will also do some number of meetups, and I am I didn't get any feedback from anybody about where else we should go in Europe besides Essen, but we will do some number of meetups and give out promos at those meetups. However, we still have a good number of Luke Invaders, so we're going to give out Luke Invaders first, and then once we exhaust Luke Invaders, then we will move on to the next batch. That was a whole bunch for me to say.
That was. You've been talking for quite a while.
You got something? Bail me out here.
I think we've shown 3 promos. Do you want to show off another? We can keep on going.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Jonah, why don't you say the card as I show it off?
Oh, our good friend Maul, the Shadow Collective Visionary. Now, we have some questions as people are looking at this, and a couple of vent suggestions. UK Games Expo is one that has been suggested multiple times, and then Luca Comics at the end of October, beginning of November, and that'll be a year from now.
I want to go to that one so badly, though. Now, I've heard about that, and people have told me to go for I don't know, forever. So
somebody's asking if we're going to do Minnesota meetup while we're in Minnesota. I think that's unlikely because I think we have a very packed schedule the few days that we're there.
You know what? It's very unlikely, but you know what? I'd like to give it a try. Maybe, I mean, do you think we can break free for an hour or two?
We can probably do something for dinner one night or something, or after dinner.
And we're probably going to be, I don't know what hotel we're in yet, but there's one big hotel right next to the game center and Fantasy Flight's headquarters. So tell you what, we'll give it a try. That's a great idea.
Reach out to me on Discord and I'll see if we can figure out some plans for that. Now, a question that's coming up a lot is, how are we going to make sure that this gets to judges and not folks who are only interested in collecting or reselling them, but actually into the hands of judges?
So we are going, in order to get any of these things, you have to be a certified, in at least the first wave of these, right? Both the tokens and the first wave. I'm not offering them on sale to anyone who is not a judge, meaning a level 1 certified judge. If there was a problem with the certification program, if the software fails, or God forbid Jonah gets hit by a bus, Jonah, you may not get hit by a bus, by the way.
Gotcha.
But if something awful happened, I can imagine a world where I might make them available to people who are on the apprentice list, who have passed the apprentice test. But I really don't have any plans, at least for the first year, to make anything available to people who are not who are not certified, right? And and I'm, as we hinted last time, I'm working pretty hard to try and figure out how to make each wave, as we get promos and as we get things, merchandise things, to get them using better and better images and make them cooler and cooler. And for me, I really want to make this primarily a thing for judges. Okay. It's a new program. We'll see what happens. If it turns out judges don't like this, I don't know what I'll do. But for now, I want it to be for judges.
Do we have. So, the idea that judge promos are for sale is a concern to some people because other programs just hand them out willy-nilly everywhere and always. Can we talk about
sure.
some of the reasons we're doing this?
Sure. I want to hire somebody so that I can have extra staff to help Jonah. I want to hire somebody so I'm not putting t-shirts in boxes. I don't know why I call them t-shirts. They're not t-shirts. They're actually bowling shirts, but whatever. We need more people, and I need money to do that. And to be very frank, now I don't think of it as selling you selling you the cards, which I just flashed the cards here. I'll flash the back of it. I don't think I'm selling you a card. I think I'm selling you a cool merchandise kit that has a bonus of a promo or two. But potato. You can think of it however you want. The reality is, I'm also going to give a fairly decent number of them away at meetups, and a previous judge program I was associated with, I felt it was really necessary to give those out for free because in large quantities, because we were charging people. But we have no intention of charging anybody for membership in this program. And so I need to have resources. And that's how it is. I don't know. Johnny, you want to elaborate there?
Yeah, I want to talk about a couple other ways that promos are distributed. If some people are saying, no matter what system we go with, somebody will be unhappy with the system. From my days from playing World of Warcraft, one of the designers said, if we just mailed everybody 100 gold pieces, if every player in the game just got 100 gold for free, some people would complain because it devalues their effort, or they earned it and other people didn't. There will always be complaints. But there are other systems that have been tried that have demonstrated weaknesses. Shipping, just giving everybody one for free. That's right now, if everybody who's an apprentice becomes a level 1 judge, that's over 1,000 packages shipped globally, which is a logistics nightmare. Not only do you have to ship so many packages and get those addresses, but a significant number of packages will go missing, and sorting through the ones that are genuinely missing and which ones might be fraudulently missing is an immense and gargantuan task. Having them be associated with working events
is not okay.
Is not okay. One, because it means that it looks a lot like compensation and there are problems there. And two, it means that you have to be able to work these specific events in order to receive them. If it's also small events, there's issues with... I've heard so many stories of promos not getting to the people who earned them. And if it's just at large events, if it's just at PQs, or if it's just at sector and regional qualifiers, that means that it is there are so many judges who don't have access to them. Um, right now, it's going to feel like limited quantity, but I think the plan is to make sure that the broader level of endorsement, the pre-release level endorsement, not just the planetary qualifier level endorsement, is available when these first go on sale. That way, you don't have to have a personal relationship with the planetary qualifier stores, especially.
That's my hope. Although I gotta say, I don't have that list. I don't know when I'm getting that list. So, ultimately, what these are is a nice to have, and they're a perk that we can offer for judges now. Okay. In my perfect world, I would have every store and every non-aligned, independent tournament organizer doing conventions or whatever, I would have them in a huge database. I would have all of them be able to do endorsements, and we would be rolling this thing out in a much, much bigger way. I don't have that. I'm not likely to get it in the near future. So, so I don't pretend this is perfect, but my choice, Jonah, and my choice ultimately was we can have something that's super cool and get them to some people, or we can hold off and wait till we have a more perfect system, knowing that we don't know when that will happen.
Yeah. Going back to chat, because we have a bunch of questions that I want to address. Hi Funko asks, what does make them available mean? Will L1 judges be able to order the promos, or are they only
Yep.
part of other orders for shirts, tokens, meetups, etc.?
I am not going to sell individual cards. They will always be part of it. I should not use words like always. For the future, I don't currently have any plans to sell cards as cards. And there's a reason for this without boring the hell out of you. And, my lawyer says don't talk about legal stuff, but I'm going to do it anyway. If I sell you a thing, okay, right now, a card is worth whatever the market values it at, right? And it is a very complicated legal thing to try and figure out what the actual value of a collectible is, right? If I sell you a thing, what I'm doing under my understanding of US law is I am then locking in that rate as the value of that card. So let's just say I'm crazy. I sell you a card for $1,000. Okay. Then I give somebody else the same card at a meetup. Okay. If I give something to someone worth $1,000, not that these cards are $1,000, but just for the example, I give this thing out, okay, to that person. I've now created a taxable event, okay? That person has to pay taxes on taking in those cards, and legally, I have to do the tax paperwork to tell the IRS that I did this. I'm hoping that over the course of a year, we're giving out hundreds of cards, okay? Maybe not thousands, but at least hundreds at meetups, okay? Because I want to reward people for attending meetups, and so we want to distribute a bunch of cards. I cannot do the tax paperwork, and I can't allow something to happen where it becomes a taxable event every time I give away a card. And that's why I'm selling you a merch kit that happens to have some cards in it, not I'm selling you cards. Does that make sense? Jonah, was that clear? I know it's pretty
That makes
complicated.
sense to me, but we've had this conversation before, so I'm going to see if chat has questions when I get down through the scroll.
Sure, fair enough.
Questions from Cascade2244. Is there a limit set on the rarity? These all seem to be rares.
Well, what a great transition. Now I'm going to save that one to last because it's my favorite. It's
While
not
you're
my
pulling
favorite
that up,
puzzle.
Curse Strife says concern with L1 only, with the first wave tied to the planetary qualifiers, is with how many of those people are likely to be store employees, as we see Supreme Leader Snoke ruling from the shadows, I think? I can't remember the subtitle.
It is Shadow Ruler.
Okay, I was close with ruling
That
from the
was pretty
shadows.
close. And
Uh,
look how that border, look how
oh, yeah.
awesome it is.
Rather than,
Okay,
like, the blue, it really goes with the yellow. But,
this is awesome. Okay, go ahead.
alright.
What was he saying?
Uh,
That many of those will be store employees.
I think with going with pre-releases, yeah, while like a significant number of store employees will have access, with them being with more stores, and I think the list that we're hoping to get is going to be. I mean, I don't know how many stores ran Twilight of the Republic pre-releases, but it's
It was a lot.
hundreds, if not thousands. And
I
so there
think it
were
was. I think it was low 2000s, but
that's a
I don't know.
lot of potential places for you to get access to an endorsement, and so hopefully it'll be a broader availability.
And we know this system's not perfect,
Yes.
and we know this isn't perfect, but what we're trying to do, what I want to do is, frankly, I want to start getting these out as quickly as I can. Um, we could have waited 6 months until I knew that if I could have waited 6 months until I knew I had a more comprehensive list of stores and that there were many people who were already certified as level one. But I don't want to wait that long. Um, for a lot of reasons, including my I actually have these sitting in a bank security box, right? And I don't want to have them sit there for 6 months or a year. I want the cards to go out to I want the cards to go out to you guys.
Technology on man. All right. A pair of somewhat related questions. Tennessee Feet Monk asks, "What price point are you looking at?" And Fazit says, "For me, the biggest problem is that lots of people can't afford it, and even more won't even get an opportunity to buy them."
Um, I'm not ready. I haven't finalized prices yet, so I'm not ready to talk about that. But fundamentally, like this is a problem, right? This is a legitimate problem because every trading card game is both a game piece and it's a collectible. In some ways, I would prefer to be associated with games where the game pieces were only game pieces and were not collectibles, right? I mean, that would be there are aspects of life that would just be better if that was how things were. But we've all decided to opt in to playing a game that has a high that actually it's not really high. It's probably a medium degree of collectability. And so there the part of me that wants everything to be egalitarian and give everybody a chance, well, we will give you cards if you come to a meetup. And there's no membership associated with that. There's no membership fee. All you have to do is be a level one or higher when you and come to a meetup. So that's how folks who don't have financial resources can get these. And the rest of it is, I'm sorry, but you know, there will be a price attached to them. Unfortunately, that will put it out of some people. I don't want to bullshit you. That will put it out of some people's reach. And trading card games are expensive. And I have wrestled with the ethics of should I participate in games where playing pieces can cost tens or even hundreds of dollars? And I came down with yes, but you know, honestly, if somebody doesn't have economic resources, I don't know if I would recommend them play a game because these games are great, but they really do cost money.
Yeah. Something else that I think we can do. One, if you have recommendations for other avenues that fit our requirements, please feel free to reach out to me. I can't make any promises at all. Something that I'm thinking of, like, they might not all have to be large bundles. The merch kits that we're looking at are coming with multiple promos. We might be able to do smaller kits with fewer promos. Um, like this
Okay,
is
let me lay out the criteria then.
yeah.
One, as I said before, I can't just directly sell cards. Okay, I can give them away, but I can't sell them. I am not willing to ever again, because I mailed out thousands of packets of foils to people all over the world, and despite getting flamed on, on Reddit and other places for pointing out that shipping to some places in eastern end of Europe, or in some places in Asia, it's really, really hard. It turned out I was right. It's really, really hard. And I can't, I mean, just a quick anecdote about it is, we were shipping from all the European cards from inside the EU, and every package that was going from Belgium to Portugal, because they were shipping from Belgium, every single package got delayed more than a month. I ended up reshipping them all from Portland to Portugal, and it was like 50. And each one ended up costing, the replacement shipment cost like $25 a shipment. And then something happened, and all of the lost packages just were received, and so everybody got a double dip. Plus, I got to spend, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and more importantly, a ton of our time. So one, can't sell them individually. Two, it's got to be easy enough that we can actually do it. If we're sending out thousands of packages, for free, so I guess it's got to be easy enough for us to do it. I can't break the bank, right? We don't have infinite money. I desperately need at least a part-time assistant for Jonah. I need help. We have to add a couple people in the next few months. It's just 100% necessary. So I guess the criteria is, I can't sell the promos directly. I can't overburden us with work. I can't take on major financial cost. It has to be more than self-supporting. I don't know. It's probably something else. Work, money, time can't be for free. Oh, I very much want it gated. I want these to go to judges. And if I put them up, on a Kickstarter or something like that, as a Kickstarter reward or something like that, I won't have a good way of making sure it's gated. So those are if you can come up with another cool system that meets those four criteria, and don't bother sending it to Jonah if you want. Send it directly to me, tim@cascadegames.com. I will look at it and get back to you.
Awesome. Mad Dog Max says Tim needs more Star Wars figures and models behind him. Get on Jonah's level.
I am nowhere near as cool as Jonah. Now, I can tell you, I've read a crud ton. Okay, I've read a crap ton of Star Wars novels. But you're looking at my living room, right? I'm an old married guy, and I don't get to decorate my living room with Star Wars stuff. But I will try and step
up. We'll see what happens. And I can confirm Tim has talked read a lot of books. We've had some fun conversations about Yuzon Vong philosophy, which is much worse than Mandalorian philosophy.
Yes, but they're not even, they're only vaguely humanoid, right? And they're from another galaxy. And so of course, and they're not touched by the Force. And so they don't have the enlightening effects of the Force to help shape their philosophy in a positive way. Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay,
But
let's keep going.
Hi Funko says that's disappointing for people outside of North America and Europe.
Yes.
Yep,
Hey
100%
guys,
agree.
I think I'm in a cranky mood today, so I'm going to tell you the truth. I have been struggling with the bullshit import export laws of countries around the globe for years and years. It is a bummer for people outside of the places that are easy for me to ship stuff to. It is. Now, I know judges and I know you all are networked. And so I know that what's going to happen is a bunch of the Brazilian judges are going to ask their friend in Spain to take care of this problem for them or whatever, right? There's going to be a whole bunch of people who live in Miami who are going to take care of this for Latin American judges. But yeah, it sucks. And as we get more merchandise, it's going to get more complicated rather than less. And with all due respect, I know I'm not supposed to get political, but hey, I'm the boss, so I can't get fired. At least Jonah can't fire me. Some people elected a president in the United States who ran on a campaign of increasing tariffs. And guess what? I want to be able to ship these things easily. And I'm looking at a world where we're probably going to have a trade war started. And above mentioned president of the United States just said yesterday there were going to be 20% tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. And you know what? Everything we're getting manufactured is everything other than the cards is coming from China. I don't know what's going to happen. This sucks. I wish the system was different. And when I become dictator of the world, we will not have tariffs. Jonah, do you want to soften that in some way? Was I too much of a butthead?
I
Kind of feel
think
like it.
I think the better answer to go with here is that with our initial shipment of shirts, it was the United States. With this set of merch kits, it's going to be the United States, Canada, and Europe. This is where we've been able to find distribution logistic hubs that work with us and meet our needs. We are constantly hoping to expand. This is an international judge program and we want to treat everybody the same. And so the answer is yep, it sucks. Find your friends who are in those other regions who can either bring them to you at an event or bring it when they travel on vacation or ship them to you directly. And we hope sooner rather than later to expand so that we could do direct fulfillment.
Yes. Hey, what he said was way more professional than me. So let's just go with Jonah's answer. Although I don't think anything I said was incorrect. But yours was better.
Another question is it random which promos are in which kits?
Of the t-shirts, they're not t-shirts, they're bowling shirts, Tim. Knock it off. Of the bowling shirts, it is random. Okay. And by random, I mean my 11-year-old daughter was helping me stuff these, and so she picked random cards and went. So that was our randomizing mechanism. The other kits that come out later, how we've got them conceived of, and I'm not ready to make an announcement about it, but the concept is that they will be themed. So they'll have a theme, and the merch will fit a particular theme, and the cards will fit that theme. As time goes on, we'll get better and better at executing themes. Like, for instance, it's pretty much a no-brainer at some point we'll have playmats. And one of the things that I would very much like to do is have the playmat match the promo, at least one of the promos in a kit. We're not there yet because all kinds of logistical complications, including some of the art that's done that's on cards is not super high resolution. And so when you try and blow it up when you try and blow something up that's painted, this big, and you turn it into playmat size and then you crop it, you just can't make it work, right? So we will, as we go on, we'll get better and better and we'll match these thematically.
Yeah. I mean, for these first two kits, I think we can talk about what the two general themes are.
If you want to, I
Yeah,
wasn't going
so
to, but
the
I'm
first
fine with it.
these first two kits we have two pretty simple themes. The first one is heroic, and we've seen the three heroic cards, but we've only seen. Some folks have mentioned that they may have seen a glimpse of the third villainous card. Can we pull that up so folks can take a look at that a little bit more in depth?
I really want to tease them,
Our good old
but here,
friend Venture. Um,
I
while you're
love this card.
This card is great, and again, the way that it just pops out of the frame adds so much depth to the art. I'm
Doesn't
absolutely
it?
in love with these.
Yeah, it's, I mean, and again, the thing I like about these, not only do they look good, but they are absolutely cards that are staples for decks.
While we are talking, I'm just going to go ahead and bring up some higher res photos
And I
of these.
apologize, the photo quality is not amazing. I took it with my iPhone.
But we're going to keep on having some questions as people get to look at these cards. These are not the highest quality scans. We're going to try and get some scans so that we can have them more available. But here's our friend Wrecker. We've got a couple
But
more.
to answer the question before, right? Not all of them are rares. There are in fact two legendary.
Yes. All right, we have the question from Mad Dog Max TV. Are any of y'all planning on going to the Star City Games Star Wars Unlimited events? Very easy answer there. I am going to be leading the Star Wars Unlimited team at Atlanta, and I'm going to be in Portland for the Magic side of things, but I will absolutely be there. Tim, are you going to be in Portland in February?
I will.
Oh,
In
weird.
fact, I live in Portland.
What a handy coincidence. This ties into a question of what events will these judge promos be given out at? Um, the short answer is to be determined. We're going to start with our Luke and Vader promos, and then when we run out of those, we're going to transition to these. When we start going to events in the Discord, anytime we have an event meetup, we're going to post about it there, and you'll be able to find out. Sometimes they're a little bit haphazard, and you're not going to find out about the event until, say, the week before. Sometimes we plan it well in advance, and you know about it a month or 2 months in advance. But we try and get those to you sooner rather than later.
And and I think what you'll find once we are able to add a couple more staff people is somebody's job will be planning them rather than me and Jonah being like, "Hey, there's this thing coming up in a couple weeks. What do you want to do?" But I think it's safe to say we could find a way to do that at least the Portland one, because because it's 15 minutes from my house.
Yes. Delirious Ginja says, can't put these in weekly OP kits. That would have been the ideal way. No?
No, would not be the ideal way. First of all, these. First of all, I want to. First of all, you've already got a promo in your weekly OP kit, right?
Yep.
So you've got that already. So you've already won. Okay. Second of all, if the weekly OP kits, the quantity would be much higher than what these are. And here's the shitty thing, right? Everybody who everybody wants something to be rare, but they also want them to have that rare thing, right? These cards are going to be relatively rare. They're going to be rarer than the numbers that would work for an OP kit. And so I'm super open to other things, but I'm open to other ideas. But I want to have, hundreds of cards out, not thousands, at least at first, so that people are excited and it can be something to strive for, and the judges trade with each other, and it becomes a status thing, not gun them out everywhere. And because if I did that, what would end up happening, because I've done this game before, right? with trying to distribute foils. When I give them to everybody, then people complain at me because it's too common. And if they become hard to get, people complain that it's not common enough. But fundamentally, I would like these to be rare and special because you're already getting foils or promos in other ways that are less rare.
Yeah, we want you to be excited about these, and there's additional complexities in putting them into OP kits. They are separate
Well,
from the OP kits that already exist.
including, I really want these to only go to certified judges. I want them to only go to you as long as the judges want these, right? If judges tomorrow said we don't want this at all, which seems wildly unlikely, but if they did, I'd go make another plan. But for today, I really want these to go to certified judges. And honestly, I want this to be a carrot to help people along the way to go get certified as quickly as they can. I want to light a fire under people to make their profile visible, right? And you can't become a level one unless the TO can find you, right? So I want this to be a big carrot to do that, and I can't. And there's no viable way for us to like. We could put something with Fantasy Flight's approval. We could put something in every OP kit, but we can't do something that where Bob's House of Comics gets two foils and Sam's House of Comics that has 5 certified judges gets 5, right? We just don't have that fulfillment ability right now.
Fantastic. DOWAG recommends getting in contact with By the Same Token. Shoot that email off to tim@cascadegames.com. They make tokens for various card games and board games, and they love making promo tokens for TCG, so that would be very exciting.
Oh, hold on. Let me say, I am super open to getting any leads, but I'm not. What I'm trying to do is find people who are active members of the community, who of the Star Wars Unlimited community, who want to make a thing. I'm much like I know tons of folks in this industry. I can go have anything made, right? But I'm trying to figure out who is a craftsperson in our community who wants to do a thing. So if you make wooden deck boxes and you want to sell me 100 of them so that I can sell them out to judges and I can become essentially your fulfillment mechanism, that's what I'm into. If you make anything that's super cool, I want to do that rather than working with existing businesses, right? The existing business that we're working with that will manufacture things that has the rights to make Star Wars things is Gamegenic, and we're going to bring you a ton of Gamegenic stuff, including hopefully exclusives over time. For now, if you are, I don't know, you make really cool stained glass deck boxes or wooden deck boxes or wooden counters or whatever, right? Whatever it is that you guys do, email me about that, and I'd like to help you get whatever you do out to the Star Wars community. But I really want it from people in Star Wars, not, I have a random Etsy store and I mostly sell, I don't know, Thanksgiving decorations or whatever. I don't know. I'm out of gas here.
Great.
Help me out here.
Well, let's just move on to the next set of questions. There are a couple of folks you mentioned about cloning me, getting an assistant in the office, for lack of a better term. There are a couple of folks who are interested in where we're located, or if these positions will be remote, that sort of thing. The short answer here is we will give you information regarding those positions when they're available. Tim is in Portland.
I can give you a little bit more, but keep going. Tim's in Portland.
Tim's in Portland. That is a nice to have. Depending on the exact nature of the job, it might need to be in Portland. If you're packing boxes, it needs to be in Portland. If you are directly assisting me with my day-to-day, I don't go into an office. This is my office, and I don't need another person down here. I have enough clutter to begin with. Um, so it's flexible, but when we have those positions available,
We
please
will
rest
post.
assured, yeah,
Yeah.
you will know about it.
And they're going to be part-time to begin with. As I think of it, the position helping me is college isn't required, but you've got to have good detail skills and things, got to be able to when I'm like, hey, we need to ship these 5 things to these 5 people, you need to make sure those 5 things get to those 5 people. But I need somebody pretty desperately to help me. The process of getting these shirts out is going so much slower than I would prefer because I have so much to do and I can't focus on it. Um, I think it's so the person who helps me will not be remote. The person who helps Jonah, probably, right?
Yeah.
In our perfect world, we will get somebody in Europe as well, particularly somebody who speaks multiple languages. In my perfect world, we would have a person, at least one person, probably 2 in Latin America, one person in Asia, and one person in Europe. But we're a ways away from that happening.
Yeah, that is quite some expansion from now.
Yes.
I just want to pass on some requests from chat regarding potential future playmats. Don't have huge text on them, just have clean art and with maybe like the judge stamp in a corner not blocking the art. I know you're a big fan of art and you have high standards for aesthetics.
I am. So Jonah knows more of Star Wars continuity than perhaps any human being alive. I don't know, that's probably too strong. Jonah is a continuity nerd in a way that's crazy.
I'll take that.
I'm an art nerd, okay? And I understand, I mean, and I've had a lot of playmats made for me over the years, and I really, you know, and some of them have had like 15 different logos on them, right? Really, all the vendors at a Grand Prix chipped in to help pay for it, and all of their logos are along the bottom, and Magic and Ultra Pro, and you're looking at it.
It gets a little ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah, it's silly. I would like it to be as clean as possible, and I would like the art to be as sharp as possible. And although some of this art is really good, not every piece justifies being on a playmat.
Yes. All right, Wolfstrider 562 asks, will this frame be on all judge cards or only these?
The plan is all of them moving forward.
Now, is this what we're going to ask a spicy question that's not being asked in chat. These are non-foils, and we're looking at the same art. I know that other games have had new art, other games have had new foils. Is there anything that you can tell me about what you would like to see happen? Not promises of what will happen, but what you would like to see happen.
I would like to see amazing things happen. Okay? In my world, foil's amazing. I would love to see that happen. I think foil combined with this frame is going to end up looking really, really excellent. But of course, the planning time, the lead up time to print things with foil is longer than just ink. And so we'll see what happens. And going back to being an art nerd, I would like to see what we could do around that. But as you know, I don't own Star Wars.
Oh, if you did, I think our budget problems might disappear real fast.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Things would be very, very different. Including Jar Jar Binks would have never happened.
Oh.
But hate that guy. So here's the deal. My goal is as time goes on, we're going to get cooler and cooler. And not us. I'm pretty much on the downhill slide. But the cards will get cooler and cooler, I hope. The kits will definitely get cooler and cooler. and everything you can imagine, I would like to see happen.
Yep.
How is that?
I'm really excited for that. I'm not going to provide any details, but there was one night when you were texting me at like 2 in the morning my time with some ideas and some things you were testing up and looking up on the internet that sounded really exciting. Those are probably, I don't know if those are even feasible on a mass scale, but they were very exciting.
I have dreams. I have dreams.
I if we get even 10% of our dreams, it's going to be incredible. If we get all of them, I don't know what I'll do with my life.
I'll have a heart attack and die, but I'll die happy.
Yes. Director Griffin says, I noticed the J24 marking, so will these be unavailable after last year? There's a little laughing emoji. These will be available next year, but this is the Judge 2024 set. In 2025, we may have some new ones. These aren't going to be
We'll
the only
see.
6 forever.
Yeah, the pacing of this we'll see what happens. Like I don't want to there's not a lot of 2024 left, right? So let's just say I would have loved to bring these to you guys sooner. And on the other hand, you know what? Before we had level 1 testing, I don't know. I think level 1 testing is necessary, frankly.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to start introducing these. Max Tapera asks, will there be consequences for judges selling these to players? No.
Yes. The consequence is that they will own it because you sold it.
That's fair. That's a reasonable
Welcome to capitalism, my friend.
But you are absolutely allowed to sell them.
Encouraged. What the hell?
Yeah,
do whatever you
They
want.
are collectible items, and they are treated like any other card. There certainly isn't any tracking on them, and it's not going to be like if somebody's playing with these in an event, we're going to be like, show me your judge certification or I'm going to disqualify you for having judge promos. These are cards that people are going to want.
And some people will buy these and then sell them and use them to pay for their college or whatever. Probably won't cover your full tuition, but it's meant to be a reward for you, and you get to do whatever you want with them.
Yep. Let's see. Let us going through these. There's so many questions. I'm trying to catch up because y'all asked a lot and then we talked a lot and then you asked some more.
Sorry.
I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this, but we'll ask it anyways. So one question is, where did it
Who's
go?
it from?
Scrolled past it. Max Tapera again asks, are we going to be allowed to get involved with fan-made deck boxes, though, given the relationship between FFG and GameGenic?
Wait, hold on. That's a great thing to clarify. I don't believe that so if you're a fan and you make a cool deck box, I'm certainly happy if you can make enough of them that we can sell them to judges and get cool deck boxes out there. I'm super happy for that. You do not have permission. Like I can't give you permission to use Star Wars anything, right? Not the name, not the lightsabers, nothing, right? And if you're doing it for yourself, I don't know what the exact legal implications are, but I can tell you for sure, I can't come anywhere near in anything that could be considered pirating of somebody else's intellectual property.
Now, if you made like a deck box that had like colored markings similar to like the markings that Tech has, the white and red with like some green highlights to be reminiscent of the character, I think that's a different story because it's a color palette.
Sorry, my internet went out there for a second. Jonah, what did you say?
Just talking about how like if you use the aesthetic or a color palette, like Tech, for example, has white armor with red stripes and his bright green goggles. If you use those 3 colors to make a deck box.
You know what, Jonah? We should not coach anybody on where the line is.
That's
because
fair.
Unfortunately, that's legal advice. And hey, not only am I not your lawyer, I'm not a lawyer at all. But what I can tell you is our attorney would say not to get into that. Let's just say If you're trying to do something that's neat because it's a cool way to hold my cards or hold my counters or hold my initiative token or whatever, that's awesome. And if you're doing something where what you're doing is fundamentally pirating off, um, you know, Disney's intellectual property, Star Wars, or Fantasy Flights, that's not cool.
Yep. Um, is there anything going on with Game Genic possibly doing judge sleeves or deck boxes or playmats? So judge branded stuff
No,
particular.
that seems like an obvious idea, doesn't it?
Uh,
Um,
moving on.
but no comment at this time.
Jax the Wonderful, spelled O-N-E, Derful,
Sure.
says foiled generic bases with the judge stamp would be amazing because right now you can't get foiled common bases.
Yes, yes, that would be great. Um, God, I really want to talk about some of my ideas about this, but I can't. Let's just say, yes, that occurred to me. Yes, that would be an opportunity to step up the quality of art in a way that could be really, really fun and could have very panoramic visions. We'll see what happens.
Some folks are commenting in response to us talking about foils potentially being the future. Some people really like non-foils. Is it possible that there will be a mix of foil and non-foil?
The future, what would Yoda say?
Uncertain is.
Yes. The future is uncertain. I haven't promised anybody foils yet. I would like that to happen, but as a realistic thing, okay, we could make a decision to request a non-foil card. We could make a decision to request foil cards. There is no way within the tiny print runs we have, which are important because they're supposed to be exclusive, right? And those of you who have passed math will have noticed that if you add up these ways of getting it, it's not a big number yet, right? Um, so in order for them to be very small print runs, there's no way to go. Half of them will be foil and half not foil. It's just not practical. Um, if it turns out over the next couple of years, if everybody's like, hey, that foil idea seemed good, but we don't really like it, then okay, then we don't have to do foils. And that really is a just let us know, and probably meetups are the place to do that.
Yeah. A similar question that we're not going to be able to answer coming from lethal logicality. Geez, I cannot get my mouth around that word. Lethologicality. Anyways,
That's a
question
great
is,
name.
yeah, oh yeah, great to read. Can't pronounce it to save my life. Can we know if it's regular foil or the weekly play foiling? Um,
We don't know yet.
yep, similar. Uncertain the future is. All right. Why do you not own Star Wars yet?
You know what? I neglected to become a billionaire, and I'm
Hmm.
very, very sorry about that. Um, yeah, 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 I haven't done that. I would love to have my own intellectual property, though. So as soon as they're willing to give Star Wars away, I will take it.
Uh, Cascade 2244 recommends the spot gloss style from Star Wars Destiny. I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with it, but you're nodding your head.
Oh gosh. So imagine angels descending from heaven and being encased in pure acrylic with colors that pop. So the spot gloss cards, the spot gloss cards are incredibly beautiful. You know what? I've got a bunch of them. I'll have to show them to you when we see each other in Portland. But
Yes.
they're they're translucent. Well, you saw the tokens we printed that featured Steve Argyle art. So for those of you who are into magic, if you or go look on eBay for Steve Argyle, who is a great artist, and we printed a vampire token on an acrylic, and that looked good. The spot gloss ones look better, and they are not suitable for something you would shuffle, but they would be great for leaders, and they would be even better for bases, I think. And and just as a shout out, go while you're looking at it, go take a look at Steve Argyle's art that he's done for Star Wars. Because man, is that cool!
Yes, I have seen a lot of his Star Wars work, and it is great. Max DePair with another question. These borders are only for Judge promos, correct? I see a lot of speculation that this frame will be the new Carbonite rarity coming in, I believe, this is me talking now, the collector's packs with jump to light speed.
I believe that this is exclusive for the Judge program. There is some small possibility I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I believe they're exclusive for us.
Um, Also, Alfarius says, I've been making 3D bases by stacking them in layers. It works really nicely on the more landscape bases.
It does. It's really cool.
Yes, that is very cool. And if there was a way to like get a bunch of them very cleanly, that'd be an incredible
If
thing to add.
email me, tim@cascadegames.com. We can talk.
Alrighty. Alrighty. That
Actually, you know what would be? Hold on, just
yeah,
jumping back.
go.
The bases where you stack them in layers. If you were to take a counter like what a Hero Clicks counter is and put a 30-point counter into one of those, you could create a base with a way of keeping track of the damage to that base, and it would be really neat. Just thought.
Alrighty. Well, that brings us to the end of the questions in chat. I'm not seeing any other questions in Discord, so I'm going to give folks a couple more minutes to get any last minute questions into chat so we can respond to them. I thought this was going to be quick. I thought this was going to be brief. I lied to myself.
Why would you think that?
Because I'm crazy. I'm going to cut back to just showing off the promos for the last minute or so when folks ask a couple questions. Alrighty, we have any info on the premium tokens, the official tokens from GameGenic. I don't believe we have any information on that. That would be coming from FFG and GameGenic directly.
Correct.
Tennessee
Correct.
Feet Monk asks, how do we handle outside assistance officially? I'm going to have to double check what the policy documents say, and I have a chat with Nico from the organized play team later this week, so I'm going to be sure to bring that up so that we have a firm answer that we can refer to if that comes up in future events, as it inevitably will. Hopefully it's not too disruptive. Cascade 2244 says, clarity on my opinion on the Birmingham situation would be great. Shoot me a message on Discord and I'll take a look into that. I don't have the details off the top of my head. I know I read about it earlier, but I don't remember all of the details. With that, any questions about level 1 testing timeline with these promos? I'm going to update the article on our resources page shortly after this. It looks like images are already in the Discord. And I think that's just about it.
Does everybody love them?
I'm seeing a lot of hype around these promos.
Good. Good. That's what I want. I just want people to love it. Just love me, please. Or at least love the cards and me by extension. Please.
Yeah, that's why we do this, for the validation. Okay, lots of yeses when you ask, do we love them?
Okay. And I really am open if you can come up with a better way. But frankly, we've worked on this for a very long time over multiple games, and it's hard. It's hard because you're balancing opposing things, right? Gas and brake, maybe clutch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only have we considered other things, but we have actually tried other things and seen other people try even yet other things, and a lot of them have had failure points and led to dissatisfaction.
And I don't want to create a sense of entitlement. I don't want to create there's lots and lots of unnecessary problems I don't want to create. I want to make this a nice optional thing for some judges to do, and some judges will choose not to. And I want this to be about options and fun. And if it turns into a bunch of, dissatisfaction, then that means we have failed in this. So, yeah.
Alrighty. Gonna show them off one last time?
I love this deck box too. Like, GameGenic does a great job. Actually, you know what? You can't see them this way, so let's see. My personal favorite.
Oh, looks incredible.
Yeah. The Avenger just is great. I kind of hate Snope as a character, but this card looks great. And again, sorry for the reflection, but I want to keep these nice in a hard case.
I do really appreciate the, non-matching colors. When I'm doing a deck check and I run into these, I'll be very upset at whoever has them because I'm going to try and sort by color and they're not going to go by color. But,
Wrecker looks great.
Oh, yeah. I like, the silver blue sheen to him. Wonderful.
Yes. Now, full disclosure, I probably wanted a different color for Maul, but it picks up his lightsabers. Actually, he's only got one saber in this one, which is a bummer. I always want Maul to have two sabers, but whatever. Or the double saber. K2SO. That background makes it so much better.
Yes.
And possibly, although not my personal favorite, I would not be surprised if Judge's favorite ended up being Tech, because it looks so good.
Yeah, I'm really excited to actually see these in person. I still haven't actually gotten my hands on them. But with all that
thank you, everybody.
Said, thank you for joining me, Tim. Everybody, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one. We're planning on doing another Q&A after our trip to the FFG offices in early December, which will ideally also be right around the time we're dropping that level 1 test for y'all.
Again, super truthfully, I'm really open to feedback, and you can just email me, Tim at Cascade Games.
Yep, I just dropped that email in the chat, so people should be able to copy that and sign you up for Catfax. Please don't. With that, thank you all so much, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a good one.